Tax cuts do not cause inflation, printing does. And the left love to blame tax cuts on everything like that's the cause of everything. But we don't have a taxing problem. We have a government spending problem. That's what really causes inflation. But before we get started, go ahead, hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, or hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here. And there's also a link to my Instagram where I put out news throughout the day. All right, let's talk about this news. The narrative to attack any tax cut and defend any increase in government size is reaching feverish levels. However, we must continue to remind citizens that constantly bloating government spending and increasing the size of monetary interventions are some of the causes of the widespread impoverishment of the middle class. I mean, look at the middle class. We're disappearing. Constantly increasing taxes and diminishing the purchasing power of the currency is wiping out the middle class in most developed nations. Currency printing is not neutral, and it never is. It disproportionately benefits government and massively hurts real salaries and deposit savings. It is a massive transfer of wealth from savers to the indebted. And that's what they want. They want you to be indebted. They want you in debt. Another part of power and control. Um, People may say that we need what needs to happen is to tax the rich and corporations, and all will be solved. Why do we think that many of the ultra wealthy are extremely happy with financial repression, issuing more currency, cutting rates, and higher taxes? Because the net effect is positive for them and negative for you. Financial repression is a tool that makes it difficult for the middle class to be richer and therefore wipes out private savings and any possible competition at the top. And that's what the main thing is right there. They want to get rid of the competitors. They don't want you to make it to the top. So that's why the middle class is being taxed to oblivion. The latest dogma is that tax cuts are negative because they boost inflation. However, it is yet another fallacy predicated on the idea that money is better off in the pockets of government. And you can't trust government to spend your money right. We see how government is spending the money, putting all this money into issues that most Americans don't even care about. Inflation is the destruction of the purchasing power of a currency, not rise in prices. Prices do not rise in unison due to the exogenous factors like a war, unless the quantity of currency issued is higher than the growth in the productive sector. And that's the main important part right there. The growth the growth has to be higher than the productive sector. Government spending weighs close to 50% of GDP in most developed economies. One unit of currency in the pocket of government is certainly spent and even multiplied, as most of the public sector will spend the unit of currency and more via deficit. Cutting taxes does not add units of currency to the economy. It is the same quantity of currency, only a bit more in the pocket of those who earned it. See, so it's the same amount of money that's circulating. It's just the money isn't going to government. It's staying with the people, and that's what they don't want you to know. Whereas when it comes to government spending and wanting taking in more, the government is asking for more money for them to spend. And we know how government spends our money. No one spends money better than you, especially your government. They will buy. That's the same government that will spend $100 on one nail, and that's what they do because it's not really their money they having to manage. When governments reduce taxes, the citizens and businesses that have earned money have more in their pockets. Some might spend it, others might save it, which means investment, and others might take more credit. Tax cuts are only inflationary if they boost the extraordinary and unjustified credit impulse. This is rarely, if ever, the case. A unit of currency in the hands of government is certainly going to spend, adding even more money into the system via debt and deficits. A unit of currency in the hand of those who earn it is not just likely to lead to a better capital allocation, but also it is fair. Tax cuts in the inflationary environment are not just logical and just, but necessary because most governments do not deflate their tax receipts. And by keeping monetary tax rates untouched, receipts rise and the amount of taxes paid by citizens increase. Inflation is a tax and a policy. Governments benefit from inflation collecting higher receipts due to the inflation impact on tax revenues, while citizens suffer elevated prices, higher direct and indirect taxation, and lower real wages. If increasing the size of government is always dangerous, it is even more polaris in times of high inflation because the risk of malinvestment becomes a certainty. Uh, there has been a massive campaign against any tax cuts all over the world that adds to the view that all government spending is justified, and we know that's not the case. The concepts of efficiency, savings, and prioritization has been abandoned, and the administration is perceived as an entity that cannot perform any of those measures and needs constantly rising revenues to undertake its duties, yet all is false. I mean, look at the few fruits that our government is bearing right now. They're just going around to try to take away, all they're doing is spending money to take away your rights. And taxes are not set because the government needs more revenues, but to pay for services and adjustment to reality of the economy. When the public sector becomes an all-consuming, never-saving entity, it does not contribute to growth and productivity. It prevents them. I mean, this is common sense stuff. And they know this. The governments know this. And governments use any excuse to increase their size in the economy, and using constant emergencies or alleged crisis is the easiest way to advance a confiscatory and extractive view of the economy, where citizens and businesses are viewed as machines of the political sector, where the private sector is at the service of the government and not the other way around. Tax cuts do not increase inflation. It's giving a bit more of the existing money to the ones who earned it. What increases inflation always is bloating government spending, which Ron Paul has been talking about forever, and perpetuating deficits and monetizing it by printing constantly depreciated currencies. They just keep printing and keep printing and keep printing. And government spending is not the engine of the economy. Tax hikes are not the only solution to bad administrations. Printing money is not a tool for growth, but one of cronyism. Upside down economics does not work. We need to return to monetary and fiscal sanity. A tax wedge of almost 40% of the income is not normal. It is confiscatory. Sorry, I'm killing that word, but y'all know what I mean. If we want to reduce inflation, we need to limit the uncontrolled policies, those that create it. Central banks and governments. We need to get rid of these central banks. We need to get rid of the Federal Reserve, and we need to put the power back in the hands of the people. But let me know what you think. Leave comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out democrapublics.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace. Oh,